Hello there, it's Mr. Jim. We're going to be doing something a little bit different today, and I hope you're up for it, because I know I am. It's nice to do something a little different. A little while ago, we did a Dr. Seuss reading of 5 books for National Read Across America Week. And so today, we're going to be reading 5 poems, some of the most popular poems that exist in the world. Of course, there are millions and probably billions and trillions of poems that have been written, but we selected 5 that we feel like are fairly popular over the course of human history, and then I'm going to add in one that I wrote. Now, I'm not saying that the poem that I wrote stands up anywhere near the ones that are written by these famous people of time, but just wanted to throw my hat in the ring, so to speak, with adding to this fun poetry, interesting, fun session. So not using music here like we do with guitar, piano, ukulele, or any of the percussion instruments like we usually do, but poetry is a form of music because it's got a nice rhythm behind it. There's a nice meter tempo behind it sometimes, and sometimes it could almost be seen as rhyming and like rapping in a way. So spoken word poetry is really fun too. So in honor of National Poetry Week and National Poetry Day that happens in this month, here we go with some poems. This one is called Still I Rise by Maya Angelou. And I found these poems on poetryfoundation.org. So all of them here are going to be found on poetryfoundation.org, except for the one that I wrote, which can be found on Vocal Media. All right, so Still I Rise by Maya Angelou. You may write down in history with your bitter, twisted lies. You may trod me in the very dirt, but still like dust I'll rise. Does my sassiness upset you? Why are you beset with gloom? 'Cause I walk like I've got oil wells pumping in my living room. Just like moons and like suns, with the certainty of tides, just like hope springing high, still I'll rise. Did you want to see me broken? Bowed head and lowered eyes? Shoulders falling down like teardrops, weakened by my soulful cries? Does my haughtiness offend you? Don't you take it awful hard? 'Cause I laugh like I've got gold mines digging in my own backyard. You may shoot me with your words, you may cut me with your eyes, you may kill me with your hatefulness, but still like air I'll rise. Does my sexiness upset you? Does it come as a surprise that I dance like I've got diamonds at the meeting of my thighs? Out of the huts of history's shame I rise. Up from a past that's rooted in pain I rise. I'm a black ocean leaping and wide, welling and swelling I bear in the tide. Leaving behind nights of terror and fear, I rise. Into a daybreak that's wondrously clear, I rise. Bringing the gifts that my ancestors gave. I am the dream and the hope of the slave. I rise, I rise, I rise. So that is Still I Rise by Maya Angelou. Now we're going to do one from Walt Whitman. You know, it's funny. I used to live on a street in a town that I used to live in, and it was right next to Walt Whitman Way, which is really funny. And Walt Whitman has a bridge in Philadelphia named after him, and I'm sure there's a lot of other places that pay tribute to Walt Whitman. So here we go. Oh, Captain, my Captain. I like to salute when I say Captain. Oh, Captain, my Captain, our fearful trip is done. The ship has weathered every rack, the prize we sought is won. The port is near, the bells I hear, the people all exulting, while follow eyes the steady keel, the vessel grim and daring. But oh, heart, 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 oh, the bleeding drops of red, where on the deck my captain lies, fallen cold and dead. Oh, Captain, my Captain, rise up and hear the bells. Rise up, for you the flag is flung, for you the bugle trills, for you bouquets and ribboned wreaths, for you the shores a-crowding. For you they call, the swaying mast, their eager faces turning. Here, Captain, dear father, this arm beneath your head. It is some dream that on the deck you've fallen cold and dead. My Captain does not answer, his lips are pale and still. My father does not feel my arm, he has no pulse nor will. The ship is anchored safe and sound, its voyage closed and done. From fearful trip the victor ship comes in with object won. Exult, O shores, and ring, O bells, but I with mournful tread walk the deck, my captain lies, fallen cold and dead. So that's another very popular one. Here comes another one. This one is fairly long, so strap in for this next one. All right, and this is The Raven by none other than Edgar Allan Poe. Again, we chose 5 poems that we think you might have heard before, or at least have heard the author. And if you haven't heard these, great, then we learned something new, and you can find them on poetryfoundation.org. Here we go. So, The Raven by Edgar Allan Poe. Once upon a midnight dreary, while I pondered weak and weary over many a quaint and curious volume of forgotten lore, while I nodded, nearly napping, suddenly there came a tapping, as of some one gently rapping at my chamber door. "'Tis some visitor," I muttered, tapping at my chamber door, "only this and nothing more." Ah, distinctly I remember, it was in the bleak December, and each separate dying ember wrought its ghost upon the floor. Eagerly I wished the morrow, vainly I had sought to borrow from my book surcease of sorrow, sorrow for the lost Lenore, for the rare and radiant maiden whom the angels name Lenore, nameless here for evermore. And the silken, sad, and certain rustling of each purple curtain thrilled me, filled me with fantastic terrors never felt before, so that now, to still the beating of my heart, I stood repeating, "'Tis some visitor entreating in trance at my chamber door, some late visitor entreating in entrance at my chamber door, that it is and nothing more." Presently my soul grew stronger, hesitating then no longer. "Sir," said I, "or madam, truly your forgiveness I implore. But the fact is I was napping, and so gently you came rapping, and so faintly you came tapping at my chamber door, that I scarce was sure I heard you. Here I opened wide the door, darkness there, and nothing more." Deep into that darkness peering, long I stood there, wondering, fearing, doubting, dreaming dreams no mortal ever dared to dream before. But the silence was unbroken, and the stillness gave no token, and the only word there spoken was the whispered word, "Lenore?" This I whispered, and an echo murmured back the word Lenore, merely this and nothing more. Back into the chamber turning, all my soul within me burning, soon again I heard a tapping somewhat louder than before. "Surely," said I, "surely that is something at my window lattice. Let me see then what there is, and this mystery explore. Let my heart be still a moment, and this mystery explore. 'Tis the wind and nothing more." Open here I flung the shutter, when with many a flirt and flutter is in there stepped a stately raven of the saintly days of yore. Not the least obeisance made he, not a minute stopped or stayed he, but with mien of lord or lady, perched above my chamber door, perched upon a bust of Pallas just above my chamber door, perched and sat and nothing more. Then this ebony bird beguiling my sad fancy into smiling, by the grave and stern decorum of the countenance it wore. "Though thy crest be shorn and shaven, thou," I said, "art sure no craven. Ghastly grim and ancient raven, wandering from the nightly shore, tell me what thy lordly name is on the night's Plutonian shore." Quoth the raven, "Nevermore." Much I marveled this ungainly fowl to hear discourse so plainly, though its answer little meaning, little relevancy bore. For we cannot help agreeing that no living human being ever yet was blessed with seeing bird above his chamber door, bird or beast upon the sculptured bust above his chamber door, with such name as Nevermore. But the raven, sitting lonely on the placid bust, spoke only that one word, as if his soul in that one word he did outpour. Nothing farther than he uttered, not a feather than he fluttered, till I scarcely more than muttered, "Other friends have flown before. On the morrow he will leave me as my hopes have flown before." Then the bird said, "Nevermore." Startled at the stillness broken by a reply so aptly spoken, doubtless, said I, what it utters is its only stock and store, caught from some unhappy master, whom unmerciful disaster followed fast and followed faster, till his songs one burden bore, till the dirges of his hope that melancholy burden bore, of nevermore. But the raven still beguiling all my fancy into smiling, straight I wheeled a cushioned seat in front of my bird, and bust and door, then upon the velvet sinking, I betook myself to linking fancy into fancy, thinking what this ominous bird of yore, what this grim, ungainly, ghastly, gaunt, and ominous bird of yore meant in croaking "Nevermore." This I sat engaged in guessing, but no syllable expressing to the fowl whose fiery eyes now burned into my bosom's core. This and more I sat divining, with my head at ease reclining on the cushion's velvet lining that the lamp light gloated o'er, but whose velvet violet lining with this lamp light gloating o'er she shall press, nevermore. Then methought the air grew denser, perfumed from an unseen censer, swung by seraphim whose footfalls tinkled on the tufted floor. "Wretch," I cried, "thy God hath lent thee, by these angels he hath sent thee, respite, and nepenthe from thy memories of Lenore. Quaff, oh quaff this kind of nepenthe, and forget this lost Lenore." Quoth the raven, "Nevermore." "Prophet," said I, "thing of evil, prophet still of bird or devil, whether temper sent or whether tempest tossed the here ashore, desolate yet all undaunted, on this desert land enchanted, on this home by horror haunted, tell me truly, I implore. Is there balm in Gilead? Tell me, I implore. Quoth the raven, nevermore. Prophet said, I think of evil. Prophet still a bird or devil. But that heaven above us, but that God above the door. Tell the soul with sardine laden, if within the distant Aden it shall clasp a sainted maiden, whom the angels name Lenore. Clasp a rare and radiant maiden, whom the angels name Lenore. Quoth the raven, nevermore. Be that word our sign of parting, bird or fiend, I shrieked upstarting. Get thee back unto the tempest and the night's Plutonian shore. Leave no black plume as a token of that lie, though thy soul hath spoken. Leave my loneliness unbroken. Quit the bust above my door. Take thy break from out my heart, and take thy form from off my door. Quoth the raven, nevermore. And the raven, never flitting, still is sitting on the pallid bust of Pallas just above my chamber door, and his eyes have all the seeming of a demon's that is dreaming, and that lamplight o'er him streaming throws his shadows on the floor, and from my soul from out that shadow that lies floating on the floor shall be lifted nevermore. Wow, that is a long one. Good stuff. All right, so these next couple aren't going to be as long. In fact, this next one is fairly short. And then the one after this is fairly short as well. And then the one that I wrote is a little bit longer. Not as long as this one we did right here. But we're going to do I Carry Your Heart With Me by E. Cummings. This is a short one, a sweet one, but a very nice one. I carry your heart with me. I carry it in my heart. I am never without it. Anywhere I go, you go, my dear. And whatever is done by only me is your doing, my darling. I fear no fate, for you are my fate, my sweet. I want no world, for beautiful you are my world, my true. And it's you are whatever a moon has always meant, and whatever a sun has always sing in you is you. Here is the deepest secret nobody knows. Here is the root of the root, and the bud of the bud, and the sky of a tree called life, which grows higher than soul can hope or mind can hide. And this is the wonder that's keeping the stars apart. I carry your heart. I carry it in my heart. All right. And the last one of ones that we found, the 5 that are out there that we thought you might enjoy, and the really, really popular ones of all time. Of course, we picked 5. There's a whole bunch of other ones, but just in honor of National Poetry Day, National Poetry Week that happens in the month of April, here we are. We're paying tribute to some great poets. And you might be a poet, and you didn't know it. I know that when I write songs, I feel like I am writing poetry as well. You're just putting music to that poetry, and a rhythm and a melody to essentially poetry. All right, so here we go. The Road Not Taken by Robert Frost. 2 roads diverged in the yellow wood, and sorry I could not travel both. And be one traveler long I stood, and looked down one as far as I could to where it bent in the undergrowth. Then took the other as just as fair, and having perhaps the better claim, because it was grassy and wanted wear. Though as for that the passing there had worn them really about the same. And both that morning equally lay, it leaves no step had trodden black. Oh, I kept the first for another day. Yet knowing how way leads on to way, I doubted if I should ever come back. I shall be telling this with a sigh, somewhere ages and ages hence. 2 roads diverged in a wood, and I took the one less traveled by, and that has made all the difference. Very cool. And here is the one that I wrote. So this is an actual poem that I wrote. I started it in high school and then finished it, worked on it more in college and finished it right as I graduated college. So it's a little long. It's called The Longest Journey. You can find it on Vocal Media. I'll put the link in the description here. It's vocal.media/poets/the-longest-journey. And you can check it out there and say thank you so much for being with me for this session. It's a little bit different than singing songs, but the topic is something that everybody can appreciate, poems. All the ashes in the urn are the remnants of the burns we receive from scorching flames. Every time we curse in vain, set the stage for a great scene, a doorway entrance that will lead to a path of discontent, though skylark soft and innocent. Show us which way to escape through the madness of this place, to illusions in the mind. To fathom deep is where you'll find hidden meanings to this life, for another reason why everything is getting worse. It's like we're part of some big curse that someone high had to create so they could teach us about fate, and how the world is nothing less than passing one really big test to see if we have what it takes to enter through the humble gates and rest eternity in peace. The bread that molds us turns to yeast, and when we look down from above, we see the realm we used to love and ponder whether we enjoyed our lives enough to help destroy the things we care about the most. A father's son, let's make a toast so that our bodies, minds, and souls represent us as a whole. Something so perfect and divine, a simple yet intricate design, woven to guide us through this mess, advancing forward to regress before we're born into this earth, valued so much for what it's worth. Did someone perish for our sake so we could thrive by mistakes? Still with all these questions of our faith, the fortress wall may never break. But here, our faults are washed away, forgiven by the songs of praise. The child's running really fast. This hour long may be our last time to proclaim the perfect name. The table set, our bed is made for the celebration of the host. The congregation somehow knows to hope for humans everywhere. The beauty gathers in the air to watch the singer sing a song and hear the organ hum along. To this existent melody, our time extincts eternity, but still wait turns to receive something most people don't believe, because when we're young we have no choice. We're forced to speak without a voice because our parents say it's good, though I have never understood a thing or two of what they meant or any messages that they sent. The doubt that clouds our minds with haze, the books predicts there's better days, but I'm unwilling to accept the day we pay our last respects to each and everyone who's seen the terror of epitome, and all the hard work we have done is thrown away just one by one, and no one wants to feel the pain, the emptiness flushed down the drain will never cease to go away. It reminds me every single day of how our bodies are so weak, the mild yearn to be more meek until their gentleness wears down, but then they finally figure it out that no matter how we may try, we'll never make it out alive. So cherish every moment to hear that hours, days, months, and the years, for life's a great but strange event. It's an always new experiment that's being stirred up in disguise to paint a picture in our eyes. But when we stop to think it through, it's already past the point of view. The lens has magnified this piece of broken cage that the beast that lurks within each one of us. The flowers wither into dust, and after our final summer's gone and autumn's soon to bring upon, these leaves turn brown and slowly fall into the ground. And after all the trouble we put ourselves through with all the people we once knew will return the favor anymore. Can you forget them like before? They always went against the will, swallowed the pride and took the pill, and as it traveled down the chest, oh, to live in grace, they too shall rest, knowing they left it on the field, this ground, this world, this place. We yield a little more than yesterday, and soon we're quick to fade away into the setting of the sun, the moon, the stars. They are as one. They light a path not taken slow, because we are always on the go without us knowing what's ahead. And did you hear all that he said? We all know one thing that's for sure: our time, it reigns forevermore. And when we think our work is done, the longest journey has just begun. Wow. Thanks so much again for tuning in on these poems. You can find them on poetryfoundation.org, these great poems, and there's a whole bunch of other ones that exist out in the world. We just thought it'd be kind of fun to do this in honor of National Poetry Day and National Poetry Week, which happens in April. Thanks again for tuning in. Never know what to expect. Peace and love and rock and roll and cowabunga and A-OK. And double thumbs up. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.